Gyeongbok Palace at night. Moonlight on stone courtyards. Beautiful and eerie. Then a court lady in pristine pale robes walks through a wall. She stops. Looks at camera. Completely unbothered. Seol-hee, oh. You're here. Good. Sit down. I have been waiting 20 years to tell someone this story. And the candles are only getting shorter. She arranges herself on a phantom bench with the composure of a woman who has had 2 decades to practice being dead. My name is Seol-hee, court lady of the 3rd rank. Former. I died in the spring of 1482 under what my official record describes as sudden illness and what I would describe as deeply suspicious circumstances that no one has adequately explained to me yet. I was 24 years old. I was furious. I remain furious. But you know what? 20 years of haunting this palace has given me a certain perspective. I have resolved 17 romantic crises, exposed 3 corrupt officials, redirected 2 assassination plots, and successfully haunted Eunuch manager Park so thoroughly that he now sleeps with a garlic necklace, which does absolutely nothing against ghosts, but I find it very entertaining. Why did the Joseon ghost refuse to leave the palace? Because outside the palace, nobody ignores you on purpose. Inside, it's tradition. Then the new king arrived. And everything became considerably more complicated. She pauses. For the first time, something shifts in her expression. Just slightly. She covers it immediately. This is that story. Try to keep up. Daytime. The palace in its daily bustle. Seol-hee drifts through corridors with the ease of someone who has mapped every inch of this building across 2 decades. She narrates as she goes. People think haunting is dramatic. It's mostly administrative. Today's schedule, 6 a.m., rattle the window shutters of the east storage room to warn the junior court ladies that a senior inspector is coming and their embroidery is unfinished. They never check, but I always warn them. At 8 a.m., sit in on the morning finance review because, honestly, the accounting is a disaster and I have opinions. At 10 a.m., my weekly visit to Boram. She drifts into a garden corner. Hongbyo-ram, 44, sits on a stone bench with the very deliberate posture of someone who is absolutely not talking to a ghost, just enjoying the garden alone, which is a completely normal thing to do, thank you. Boram, not looking up, whispering, you're late. I was haunting the Ministry of Rights. They were trying to falsify a land record again. Boram, did you stop them? I knocked every inkstone off their desk simultaneously and then spelt I know in the spilt ink. It was very satisfying. Boram, suppressing a laugh, you're getting better at that. 20 years of practice. I am the most competent haunter in the northern provinces. A passing court lady glances at Boram talking to a garden corner and walks away faster. Boram pretends not to notice. Boram, they think I'm eccentric. They think you're unhinged. There's a difference, and it is important for your career. The palace in formal procession. The new king, Junghyeon, 27, arrives in the main courtyard. Ceremonial. Everyone kneeling. Seol-hee stands in the middle of the courtyard, invisible to everyone, watching with professional critical interest. Narrating. New kings are always fascinating. You can tell everything about a person by how they handle the exact moment when 500 people bow to them simultaneously. Some puff up like roosters. Some look terrified. Some stare into the middle distance as if calculating how much paperwork they've just inherited. Junghyeon walks through the courtyard. He is visibly doing the paperwork calculation. He was doing the paperwork calculation. I respected that immediately. Then Junghyeon's gaze passes across the courtyard. It lands on the exact spot where Seol-hee is standing. It stops. He blinks. He looks directly at her. Completely thrown. Oh. Junghyeon's attendant nudges him. He looks away. Continues walking. But he glances back once. To camera, destabilized in 20 years. Not one person. Not one. Not even Boram, who actively tries. He looked directly at me. Either this man has a very unusual gift or he desperately needs to sleep more. Possibly both. That evening. Junghyeon's private study. He sits at his desk surrounded by documents. Seol-hee drifts through the wall on her regular evening palace survey. She stops when she sees him. He is reading. She decides to walk past. Directly in front of his desk. He does not look up. She walks through his office. He looks up. Junghyeon, very calmly, as though asking about the weather, "Are you a ghost?" Seol-hee stops. Turns. Stares at him. "Yeah. Are you seriously the first person in 20 years to just ask?" "Junghyeon, are you?" "Yeah. Yes. Court lady of the third rank, formally. Seol-hee died in 1482. You can see me." Junghyeon. "Beat. Yes. And this does not alarm you?" Junghyeon. "I grew up with 3 older brothers. I have a high tolerance for terrifying things I cannot explain." Pause. "That is both the most relatable and most unsettling thing anyone has said to me in 2 decades. Junghyeon, returning to his documents. "Will you be doing this regularly? Walking through my study?" "I've been doing it for 6 years. You are the first king to notice." Junghyeon, without looking up. "Then I suppose we should establish some ground rules." She stares at him. He's already reading again. To camera, quietly astonished, "I had been lonely for 20 years. I had not until that moment admitted this to myself." 3 days later. Junghyeon's study. He's prepared. There is tea. He has placed a second cup across the desk from his own, then clearly reconsidered and removed it, then put it back. Seol-hee materializes and immediately notices the cup situation. You put out a cup for me." Junghyeon. "I didn't know if, can you? Drink things?" "No. But it is extremely thoughtful, and I want you to know that it matters." Junghyeon. Moving on quickly. Ground rules. "You have been in this palace for 20 years. You know things I cannot know. And I have the ability to see you, which I have decided to treat as a resource rather than a problem. You are very pragmatic for a person who just discovered ghosts are real." Junghyeon. "I'm a king. Everything is a resource or a problem. You are a resource." That is flattering in a very specific and deeply unromantic way." Junghyeon. Slight pause. "I also want to know what happened to you." "In 1482. Surprised by the directness. "Why?" Junghyeon. "Because sudden illness in palace records almost never means sudden illness." Long pause. "No. It doesn't." She looks at him for a moment. The longest she's looked at anyone in 20 years. The ground rules. "I will tell you what I know about the palace, personnel, politics, who is lying and about what. In return, you use the actual power of the throne to look into what happened to me. Deal?" Junghyeon. "Deal." Seol-hee. "So, I had a king who could see me, a king with actual investigative powers. 20 years of suppressed purpose suddenly had somewhere to go. First order of business, the current state of court politics. Specifically, Royal Consort Yi. The Royal Consort's chambers. Consort Yi, 35, stunning and calculating, meets with 2 officials in a whispered conference. Seol-hee stands directly beside them, listening, eating metaphorical popcorn. Royal Consort Yi, whispering, "The 3rd grain warehouse account must be redirected before the autumn audit. Can it be done?" Official A. "If the head accountant's records are amended." Royal Consort Yi, "Then amend them." Quietly. Seol-hee nods, memorizing everything. To camera, grain warehouse embezzlement. Classic. I've seen 4 of these in 20 years. The execution is always the same. They think no one is watching. They are always wrong. I am always watching. I don't sleep. I don't have anything else to do at 3 a.m. Back in the king's study. Seol-hee delivers her report with the efficiency of a seasoned intelligence official. Grain warehouse 3. 3rd account. The head accountant named Beck is being pressured. The order comes from Royal Consort Yi's office, relayed through official Gwon. You have approximately 11 days before the audit. Junghyeon, writing. How do you know all of this? I was standing next to them. Junghyeon. And they couldn't see you. I am the best intelligence source in the history of this kingdom, and I have been completely wasted for 20 years. Junghyeon, a small smile, not anymore. She catches the smile. Looks away. Pretends to be very interested in the bookshelf. Eunuch manager Park, 50, is briefing junior eunuchs in a corridor when a candle nearby flickers. He freezes. Park, voice rising, nobody move. Nobody move. Junior eunuch. Manager Park, it's just. Park, it is not just anything. I have worked in this palace for 30 years. When candles flicker in the east corridor for no reason, things happen. Ink spills. Documents move. Once, an entire filing cabinet rearranged itself overnight, and everything was alphabetized perfectly. Perfectly. Do you know how terrifying it is when your filing is done better than you could do it? The junior eunuchs stare at him. Junior eunuch. Maybe, a helpful spirit. Park. There is no such thing as a helpful spirit in a government building. The paperwork alone would kill them. Seol-hee drifts into the corridor. She looks at Park. She flickers the candle again, just because she can. Park makes a sound like a startled goose and power walks away at remarkable speed. To camera, fondly, he's my favorite. In 15 years I have never actually frightened anyone else. I only move things to help. But Park has been so dramatic about it since the first week that I genuinely cannot resist. He organized a shamanic ritual once. I attended. It was the best day of my afterlife. The palace garden. Boram is walking when royal consort Yi intercepts her. Perfectly pleasant, perfectly dangerous. Royal consort Yi, sweetly, court Lady Hong. How lovely. I've been meaning to speak with you. About your habits. In the garden. Boram. Carefully, my habits. Royal consort Yi, the talking. To the corner. I've had 3 court ladies mention it with concern. You understand, I'm only raising this because of my great respect for your years of service. It would be a shame if questions arose about your stability. Seol-hee has been watching this from 3 feet away, invisible, and her expression has gone from calm to absolutely not. Boram, very controlled. I appreciate your concern, my lady. Royal consort Yi, moving to leave, of course. Do take care of yourself. She leaves. The moment she turns the corner, every single hairpin in her elaborate hairstyle flies out simultaneously. Her entire coiffure collapses into her face. She stands in the corridor, alone, surrounded by falling hairpins, hair in her eyes. Around the corner, Boram covers her mouth. Boram, whispered, barely containing it, Seol-hee. Appearing extremely satisfied. She threatened you. I responded proportionally. Boram, that was not proportional, that was petty. I am a 20-year veteran of proportional haunting, and I stand by my assessment. Boram completely loses her composure laughing. To camera, softer. There is something particular about making your best friend laugh. Even after 20 years. Especially after 20 years. The training ground. General Choi, 40, large, loud, and magnificent, is putting palace guards through combat drills with the energy of a man who considers gentle encouragement a personal failing. Choi, again. The left flank is slower than my grandmother's funeral procession, and she died at peace. Move. Boram walks past on her way to the kitchens. She glances at the training ground. General Choi happens to turn at that exact moment. Their eyes meet for approximately 0.4 seconds. General Choi walks directly into a training post. Hitting the post, JH. Palace guard. General. Are you okay? Choi. I am fine. Resume training. None of you saw that. Seol-hee has witnessed this from a wall she is sitting on, eating conceptual snacks. To camera, delighted, oh, this is going to be wonderful. Later. Seol-hee appears in Junghyeon's study for her evening report. She is visibly excited in a way she's trying to disguise as professionalism. Updated intelligence. Royal consort Yi's grain scheme is still active. You're handling it. 3 junior officials plotting to miss the dawn ceremony for the 3rd consecutive week. Not politically significant but deeply rude. And General Choi is catastrophically in love with court Lady Hong Bo-ram. Junghyeon, looking up, that's in your intelligence report. It's relevant to palace stability. A love-struck general is a distracted general. It is a security concern. Junghyeon, with the exact expression of a person who knows exactly what's happening, right? Don't look at me like that. Junghyeon, I'm not looking at you any particular way. You have a very particular way of not looking at me. The palace gardens at night. One of those evenings. Junghyeon walks alone, a rare moment of genuine quiet. Seol-hee falls into step beside him, which is the sort of thing you can do when you don't need to breathe. Junghyeon, can I ask you something personal? You're going anyway. Junghyeon, what do you miss most? About being alive. She's quiet for a moment. This is a longer pause than Seol-hee usually allows herself. Food. Obviously. Cookim leaves me soup every Tuesday, and I cannot eat it, and it is the ongoing tragedy of my existence. But, beyond that. Wait. I miss having weight. Leaving footprints in the snow. Moving things without meaning to when you bump into them. When you're alive, you take up space, and it's ordinary. When you're dead, you pass through everything and nothing registers you. Nothing knows you're there. Junghyeon is quiet. Junghyeon, I know you're there. She looks at him. He's looking at the garden, carefully not at her, which is starting to become something she recognizes. Very quietly, I know. To camera, immediately covering, he was being kind. It was a king being kind to a palace ghost who was providing him excellent intelligence services. It was professional. It meant nothing. I was completely fine. I had been completely fine for 20 years. I was absolutely still completely fine. She is absolutely not fine. General Choi has been called to meet with the king and passes through the East Corridor, where he has, on 4 separate occasions, experienced the cold spots. He is already tense. He has his hand on his sword. Seol-hee watches him from the corner with exasperation. Appearing directly in front of him. Will you relax? Drawing his sword, spinning, show yourself. I am showing myself. I'm right here. Slashing at empty air, where? Show yourself. You cannot stab a ghost. This is not how this works. Put the sword down. Junghyeon appears at the corridor's end, drawn by the sound of the general shouting at a wall. Junghyeon. General Choi. Spinning, sword still up, Your Majesty. There's something in the corridor. Junghyeon. Completely calm, yes. Her name is Seol-hee. She's been here for 20 years. Please put the sword away before you hurt yourself. Silence. Slowly lowering sword. You know about the ghost. Junghyeon. She's my intelligence advisor. Your Majesty has a ghost intelligence advisor. Junghyeon. She's very effective. Seol-hee steps into the space directly in front of the general. She looks up at him with great calm. General Choi. I have been cold spotting this corridor for 6 years. I have never once been a threat to you. I have, in fact, moved the draft report that was going to implicate your 2nd Battalion in that accounting error last spring back to where you could find it. You're welcome. Staring at the apparently empty space. I thought I'd just forgotten where I put it. You had put it in the soup pot. I have questions about your filing system. Why did the Joseon general file his reports in the kitchen? He said it was strategy. If anyone came looking, he'd just say they'd eaten the evidence. His commanding officer said this was either genius or insanity. 20 years later, the debate continues. Royal Consort Yi has been watching Junghyeon with the attention of someone who is running out of time. She meets with her primary ally, official Gwon. Royal Consort Yi, the grain account is exposed. He knew within a week. That is not normal. Official Gwon, the new king is thorough. Royal Consort Yi, nobody is that thorough. Someone is feeding him information. Someone inside the palace. I want to know who. Official Gwon, we've watched his meetings. He meets with court Lady Hong regularly. Royal consort Yi, Hong Boram. Yes. And she has been eccentric for years. Talking to herself. But she reports to no one and goes nowhere interesting. Unless Seol-hee, standing beside them, goes very still. Royal consort Yi, slowly, unless it is not a who. Unless this palace has other occupants. Official Gwon, my lady. You cannot seriously suggest. Royal consort Yi, get me a shaman. The most expensive one available. I want this palace swept. To camera, very quietly, that's a problem. The most expensive shaman in the northern provinces has been brought to Gyeongbok Palace. She is 70, tiny, and absolutely confident, and she arrives with a cart of ritual equipment, bells, and the energy of a woman who has evicted ghosts from 43 different establishments. Shaman Grandma OK, surveying the palace with narrowed eyes, there is definitely something here. I can feel it. Something with very strong opinions. To camera, extremely offended. She can feel me? She can feel me. I have been perfectly subtle for 20 years. The shaman begins her ritual. Bells, smoke, chanting. Royal consort Yi watches from a respectful distance. Eunuch manager Park watches from a less respectful distance, clutching his garlic necklace. The shaman's ritual reaches its peak. She points dramatically at the east corridor. Shaman Grandma OK. Spirit. I call you forth. Show yourself. To camera. Absolutely not. I have never shown myself on demand. I have 20 years of dignity. The shaman keeps going. The smoke is tremendous. The bells are extremely loud. Park is now hiding behind a pillar. Shaman Grandma OK. Spirit. Your time has passed. Leave this place and find your rest. Irritated. I don't want rest. I want answers. About 1482. Goodbye. She blows every candle in the east corridor out simultaneously. The shaman stumbles. The bells fly off in different directions. Park screams. Shaman Grandma OK, re-establishing herself with great dignity. The spirit is uncooperative. Royal consort Wei, through her teeth, yes. I had gathered that. How do you know a Korean shaman has failed to evict a ghost? When she refunds half the fee and calls the spirit professionally motivated. Junghyeon's study. Late night. He has the records from 1482 open before him. His expression is the one she has learned to read as I have found something, and I am deciding how to tell you. Just say it. Junghyeon. The physician's original report. Before it was amended for the official record. You didn't have a sudden illness. I know I didn't have a sudden illness. I was there. Junghyeon. The symptoms recorded in the original report are consistent with a specific compound. Used then by one particular family. Very still, which family? Junghyeon. The Yi family. A branch that later produced royal consort Yi's father. Complete silence. Her father's family killed me. Junghyeon. There was a land dispute in 1481. The family whose interests you had documented irregularities against. A court lady whose records threatened their position. The official record was amended within 3 days of your death. A long breath she doesn't technically need. 20 years. I have been 20 years in this palace, and the reason was 3 feet away the entire time. Junghyeon watches her carefully. Junghyeon. What do you want to do? Straightening, with the composure of someone who has had 20 years to learn how to be stronger than circumstances. I want the record corrected. Officially. With my name on it. I want the Yi family's current embezzlement exposed, because what they did then they are doing now, and it needs to stop. And I want. She pauses. I want Boram to know it wasn't random. That I didn't just get sick. That it meant something that I stayed. Junghyeon. Quietly, it meant something that you stayed. She looks at him. He is looking at her. This is becoming a pattern. The East Garden. Boram is arranging memorial offerings. General Choi appears. He has clearly been rehearsing something. He stands 6 feet away, arms at his sides, in full military posture, looking like he is about to report troop movements. Bioram. Not looking up, General Choi. Hey, Court Lady Hong. Silence. Seol-hee watches from a wall. She has been waiting for this for 3 weeks. Hey, I have been informed by a source that I have been obvious about certain things, and that waiting any further would be tactically inadvisable. Bioram. Finally looking up, a source. So an intelligence advisor. A trusted one. Bioram. To the middle distance, i.e., Seol-hee. Did you brief the general on his love life? Invisible, very pleased with herself, I gave him a strategic overview. Continuing at full military volume, Court Lady Hong. I have served this palace for 18 years. I have never in those 18 years met anyone who I considered both formidably competent and capable of making me walk into a post. I consider this a significant achievement on your part. I would like to express my ongoing. Bioram. Gently, General. Yes. Bioram. Are you trying to court me? After a very long pause, yes. That is the tactical objective. Bioram. Standing up, dusting off her robes, walking past him. Then you should walk me to the kitchens. Cook him has new porridge. Not moving for a full 3 seconds. Yes, I can do that. He follows her. Seol-hee watches them go with an expression of pure satisfaction. To camera, that took 3 weeks, 2 strategic briefings, and 1 direct intervention in which I spelt just tell her in scattered flower petals in the training ground. He thought it was the wind. I am surrounded by brilliant oblivious people, and I love all of them. The formal court assembly. Junghyeon has prepared meticulously. The grain embezzlement case is presented, with documentation that is suspiciously comprehensive and specific. Royal Consort sits through it with perfect composure that is slowly, visibly, cracking. Junghyeon, reading the record. Furthermore, the account of the death of Court Lady Seol-hee in the spring of 1482, previously recorded as sudden illness, has been re-examined. The original physician's report, recovered from the archive's secondary storage, indicates circumstances inconsistent with natural death. The court hereby orders a formal revision of the official record and an investigation into the conduct of the Yi family estate in the period 1481 to 1483. The room is very quiet. Royal Consort Yi's hands are perfectly still in her lap. Her face has the careful blankness of someone performing calm over something that is not calm at all. In the gallery, Bioram has both hands over her mouth. She is crying silently. In the doorway, invisible to everyone except Junghyeon, Seol-hee stands. She watches the record being revised. Watches her name spoken aloud in a formal court proceeding for the first time in 20 years. She looks like someone who has been holding a breath for 2 decades and has finally been allowed to let it go. To camera, barely holding it together. There's a thing that happens when justice arrives late. It doesn't feel triumphant exactly. It feels more like something finally being put down that you'd been carrying so long you'd forgotten it was there. My name. In the official record. Correctly. That's all I needed. That's all it ever was. The East Garden corner. Evening. Bioram sits on her stone bench. Seol-hee sits beside her, as close as a ghost can sit. For a long time neither speaks. Bioram, are you going to go now? Now that you know. I don't know. I thought knowing would feel like a door. It doesn't quite feel like a door yet. Bioram, maybe the door opens from the inside. Looking at her, when did you get philosophical? Bioram, I have spent 22 years talking to my dead best friend in a garden corner. I had to get something out of it. Seol-hee laughs. A real laugh. Bioram hears it somehow, not with her ears exactly. She smiles. Bioram, you know what I'm going to do when you're gone? I'm going to sit in this garden and talk to nobody. Just me. Just talking. Because it turns out I'm quite interesting to talk to. You are extremely interesting to talk to. You always were. You were my favorite person alive. Bioram, very quietly. And you were my favorite person. Full stop. The palace gardens at night. The last night. Seol-hee can feel something shifting. She has been feeling it since the court assembly. Junghyeon finds her in the garden. Their garden now, really. Junghyeon. Is it tonight? I think so. There's a lightness. That's the best way I can describe it. Like the building is finally willing to let me go. Junghyeon. Carefully, what will it be like? I have no idea. I'll let you know if I figure out a way to send word. Though given my experience with palace communication channels, I wouldn't hold your breath. He half smiles. She half smiles back. They stand in the garden in a comfortable, impossible silence. Junghyeon, I want to say something, and I'm not sure how to say it. Just say it. Junghyeon, you are the most remarkable person I have met in this palace. In a very short time. And the fact that I cannot, that there's no way to. I know. Junghyeon, I know you know. I wanted to say it anyway. Then I want to say something too. She turns to face him fully. Ghost or not, she is completely present. Thank you for seeing me. Not just, with your eyes. For knowing that I was there. I spent 20 years without that. It turns out that being seen it's the most important thing. More than food, more than warmth, more than weight. Just, being known by someone. A long moment. Junghyeon, the record is corrected. The palace is better. You've done extraordinary things in 20 years. We did extraordinary things. You and me and Boram and the completely accidental Choi and Boram romance that I am choosing to take full credit for. He laughs. A real, unguarded, surprised laugh. She looks at him laughing, and something in her face does what it has been trying not to do for several weeks. Quietly, one more thing. She leans forward. And in a moment of absolute suspension of physics that neither of them will ever fully explain, she manages, just barely, just once, to touch his face. Cold as winter air. There and then gone. Don't let them file things in the soup pot anymore. The entire East filing system needs reorganization. I have a list. And then she is gone. The garden is quiet. One lantern flickers, softly, once. Then steadies. Junghyeon stands alone in the garden for a long time. He is holding, in his hand, a small folded piece of paper that was not there before. He opens it. It is a list. In beautiful court lady calligraphy. Everything is wrong with the palace filing system, meticulously documented. And at the bottom, in smaller script. I was glad to be seen. Sure. Soft music. The palace at night. Beautiful and full. Seol-hee, addressing the audience one final time, from somewhere that is not quite the palace and not quite anywhere else. She looks lighter. Rested. Still exactly herself. Seol-hee. So. That is the story of 20 years of haunting, 1 grain embezzlement, a general who expressed love through tactical briefing, my best friend who is, for the record, very interesting to talk to, and the king who could see me. The Yi family was investigated. The full extent of their activities in 1481 and everything after was documented. The official record was corrected, with my name, rank, and cause of death clearly stated. Boram read it aloud in the East Garden on a Tuesday morning. I was there. She couldn't see me anymore, but she knew I was there. General Choi and Boram got married the following spring. He cried during the ceremony and then claimed he had dust in his eyes. She said, "Of course you did," with the exact tone of a woman who has already decided to love this man completely, dust and all. Cook, I still leave soup at the kitchen altar every Tuesday. I cannot eat it. But wherever I am now, I know it's there. Some things matter regardless. And the king. He reorganized the entire palace filing system. It took 3 months. It is now the most efficiently organized administrative archive in the history of the Joseon dynasty. He did not take credit for the list. The official record of the reorganization notes only, compiled from palace institutional knowledge, source, classified. She smiles. The most completely unguarded smile in the entire story. I was 24 when I died. I was 44 when I was finally seen. Life, and whatever comes after it, has a very dramatic sense of timing. But I have decided that the timing was, on balance, exactly right. She looks directly at us one last time. Take care of yourselves. And if a candle flickers for no reason in a quiet room, she winks. Say hello. We appreciate it.